Welcome to day 4. You are meeting up with the Meeples Champion. And as I mentioned yesterday, we're bringing in a game that's a little controversial. And when I say that, I want to make this very clear. It's controversial because I bought it, not because I play it. This is Terraforming Mars. Now, let me start right off by saying this is a fantastic game. I love this game. Anybody who thinks that today was going to be a negative review, that is not what I'm saying at all. This is a great game, but I think it is a limited supply game. Now, let me explain to you by opening this box, giving you a little bit more of an idea as to what we're dealing with. The rules, they're honestly not that hard. It's not the biggest manual I've seen. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think that they make it pretty clear to you how the game plays and what you need to aim towards. Unlike most games, this is not a game where everybody can just simply do the same thing, because every card is different. You're not running into multiples. You're not getting an opportunity that, hey, I did this and now you can copy me and do it. This isn't a worker placement. You're not being able to go to the same spot. This is a real open concept game where you do something and that one something is gone now. Somebody might be able to do something on another card that can replicate the effects of what you did, but not perfectly. They're going to have to do multiple cards to replicate it, or they're going to have to pay for a much bigger card that has a piece of what you just did in it. So that's a very unique piece to this. I think the quality of this game, these pieces are unbelievable quality. And I think that while it may be not the most beautiful as far as the style of what they're doing, these are pretty straightforward. You know, you're working with blocks of blue, blocks of gold, blocks of all sorts of different blocks here. You have great piece quality for going on the board. You know, these are miniature Catan pieces, you know, basically the exact same setup. Very good quality. The board itself, great quality. The cards, great quality. But where's the replayability? And where's the cost? Replayability is, with me, my board game group, huge. When we first got this game, we played it with expansions. We played this a bunch. We have a setup in our game group that I'm not sure how this translates to everybody else's, but there's 5 main members of our group. So we're on a rotation every 5 weeks. Hey, this person's up. They get to choose. Now, if we have other people join on occasion, they don't get to be in the rotation. They can join. They can play a game with us. However, until somebody becomes a norm in the group, they don't get to have that addition to the list. When I first joined up, I was actually probably the last person to join out of this group. It took me 2 or 3 months before I got to really be added into that rotation. And now I've been with them for 3 years, and I'm just one of the rotation people. If we have enough people, we'll split to multiple games. But this game is really only popular for me there. COVID hit. Everybody here can relate to that in some way. Stuck at home, trying to find games to play, and I bought this game. I went, you know what? Let me order it. I'll bring it in. My wife and I can play. It wasn't a bad 2-player game, but I have only played it the one time, and that was at the beginning of COVID, so you're talking over 2 years ago. If we play with my friend's group, it's the game at their house that we play. We don't need my copy, and they have all the expansions. I don't, so I don't have a lot to add there. My family and my wife's family, this is too complicated a game for them to want to jump into. They look at it and they go, can we play Ticket to Ride or Catan? You know, can we play Wizard or Skimming and Skulking? You know, Azul. Those are the type of games that the casual gamer wants to play. This is not a casual gamer. This is a heavy game. Even if it's not that difficult to play in general, which I don't think it is. If you're talking on a 1 to 5 scale of difficulty, this is only like a 3 to a 4. I don't think it hits the 5. But if you're talking on a 1 to 5 scale of difficulty, visually speaking, it looks like a solid 5. There's a lot to this. And so for a casual gamer, just looking at this game scares them away. And you have to put that into your numbers. You have to consider, what is it that's going to get somebody to play a game with you? Even if they could learn it, if the game scares them and they're not willing to learn, it's the same thing. You have to contribute every factor to that. The theme, unbelievable. Love the theme. The art, unbelievable. The pieces, unbelievable. The difficulty, for me, not that bad, but only for the top gamers. You know, I shouldn't say top, but the normal gamers. Hey, we play a weekly game or even a monthly game. That's where the difficulty is fine for me. If you're talking about people who are playing less than once a month, this is probably a little bit too difficult for them. Cost $60 just for the base game. Lots of expansions. Be aware of that. You have to be aware of where those kick in. Some games, you don't care about the expansions. I've never played one expansion for Seven Wonders. I never want to. It's not needed. But for this game, I think that you played a few times, and even though you may not have done everything, you're watching the people around you. You've got an idea of what's going on, and you start going, you know what? I want that opening first couple rounds to be different. I want to use an expansion that changes up how the game starts or changes up the flow of the game in some way. Be aware of all of that. You know, as far as your personal boards in this, they're fine. You know, they're a little bit flimsy. I don't think these easily tear, but definitely I think it's because this is a heavier game for more of the core gamers that this doesn't bother me. If this was more of a casual gamer game, this would annoy me because you might run into somebody who does accidentally tear it. But like anything, when you have a game that limits who's going to play it, it also brings in the people who care about quality and taking care of what they're playing with every day. And this is not something I'm worried about any of those kind of gamers tearing. And even if you are talking about the very casual gamer, I'm not worried about them just accidentally tearing it. It's just you bring in that nonchalant type player who may not care that they just tear it off the board and throw it to you. And that's where this kind of thing could be destroyed. But I think for where this game ends, the type of people, the type of groups it's going to end up being played by, this is an okay quality by me. I'm okay with that level. Same thing with your board. You know, when you look at this board, this is a fantastic board. You know, I really like that. You know, you're getting your normal type of board for a board game. It is a good quality. It's a great look. A lot of orange, which makes sense. You're talking about Mars, so of course there's a lot of orange. But I really enjoy that this board looks so different than most board games. And uniqueness is very important to every game. You know, when we've talked about our other games, we've so far, days 1, 2, and 3, have dealt with games like Azul, which is the fourth of its grouping, and is a tile-based game, which is a lot of other tile-based games. It's not very unique. You know, we've dealt with Isle of Cats. It's a cool theme, but the Cats theme is increasing. You know, we've seen this. We've had the card games that have come out. We've had the other board games that have come out, and it's Tetris at the end of the day. It's not extremely unique. This game is unique. This game is unique because the board looks different. Yes, you're using cards, but this is being played very differently than a game that usually has cards. This isn't a deck builder, and this isn't a game where every card is coming into play in an easy to draw way. You're buying cards, you're drafting them only once, and then you're kind of done. This game gets a huge unique scale point for me. Now, I have heard that they've made the newer, smaller Terraforming Mars game. I haven't had a chance to play it. I believe it's Ares Expedition. I would like to play. I've heard really good things, and maybe that game can move more into your casual gamer area. It's an important feature. You have to know who you're playing with, what game you have. Is it going to be a game worth your time and money? This is worth my time. But I will say, I believe I messed up and it was not worth my money because I had a friend from my core group who already owned it. In fact, I believe I have 2 friends who own it. So out of 5 people in that group, 3 of us own the game. It's too many people for a game of this cost. Just as for a game of this cost and with the limited availability of who I can play it with, I should not own this game. That being said, I love that I own this game because it is one of my favorite games for that group. And I like to display my stuff. I like to show what I like. And I think that anybody who's a real gamer kind of gets that. Sometimes you're sitting there and you pick up a game and you want to have it on your shelf. You want to show that you're a fan. You know, I don't do a lot of trinkets in my downstairs room. You know, I don't buy a lot of posters or put up a lot of like little figures and things like that. My version of doing that nerdy, you know, hey, look at what I like, is board games. My wall is my art. So in that respect, this is perfectly fine to own because it's just a piece of art that's up on my shelves showing what I like to play. But when it comes to getting it to the table, is it really worth $60 to just have one spot with the game in it? I don't think it is. Either way, I do give this game a pretty good thumbs up for playing when you're playing with the right people. And that is the day 4 game. Tomorrow, we're going to jump into another game on day 5 that is going to have a lot more of a positive review. And trust me, I have a lot to say about this game. Until then, you've been talking with the Meeples Champion. I'll see you tomorrow.